I know y'all been waiting. Alright, so if this is your first time here, go back and watch the last 2 How to Manifest Anything videos. I'll put the links down in the description below. But basically, in those videos, the first one we went over the will, and the second we went over imagination. The first one we went over how the will is not desire, it's that undying drive, the passion. When you have that passion and that drive to do what you want, and those of you who are actually going out and busting ass doing it, you have the will to do it already. But some things that we want aren't necessarily a will, so sometimes they don't manifest. So go watch that video, give you some ways to fix all that. And then the imagination video, I give a bunch of tips and tricks to, expand your visualization, imagination. And I also, after I posted those videos, I made 2 different ones on it. I think one of them was, it was literally called visualization tips or something like that. I'll put a link down in the description below for that as well. So go watch those 2 and just come right back here. Now, I've gone extensively over will and imagination, and now in this video I'm going to give you ways to apply it, and I'm also going to give you all the missing links for this whole formula. Now, before I go on any further, 2 things that will kill every chance of your manifestation happening is doubt and fear. Doubt is a plague. It will literally, there's no chance. If you start having doubts about it, just expect it not to work. One way to fuse will and imagination to bring the 2 together to create new life would be to focus on a candle flame while also directing your will towards that which you desire, while also visualizing and feeling what you're wanting as if it's happened already. And that sounds exactly like the law of attraction. And I know I've mentioned I don't like talking about the law of attraction for a few reasons, so I'm going to go over a few more in this video. But after you do that, you want to forget about it. And I've never heard anybody who teaches the law of attraction, I've never heard anybody tell you to do this. And so you've got a bunch of people doing this and they don't have anything manifest because they're constantly holding on to it. They haven't let go of it for it to come back through the law of synchronicity. And so what you'll want to do afterwards is forget about it. Find something else to do. Have a hobby. Do something new today, as I've said billions of times before. But keep your mind off of it. If you're constantly dwelling on it, it's not going to work. This is why you hear people say the lust for results will kill your manifestation. Because once you're thinking about it and you're delving into it and you're just lusting for it, it's not going to happen. And so this is why we get into trouble when we're trying to manifest or attract something that we really, really want that we can't even stop thinking about. Even if it's something that you deal with on a daily basis. If you're trying to attract a new love and that person is someone that you see at school or work or out and about quite frequently, it's going to be hard to push them out of your mind. But there are ways to fix this. And that's what the whole channel is based. This is what the whole point of this channel is to kind of nitpick and help you get the best results you can fastest. And so a few other things that you're gonna really want to do is practice faith. Faith is the exact opposite of doubt, in my opinion. A lot of people think of faith and belief as like differing opposing forces, but in my opinion, faith is the opposite of doubt. I think that belief is not in those 2 whatsoever. But you want to have faith. This is why all the gurus will tell you to act as if it's happened. But you'll go and you'll do your operation, you'll do your meditation or your exercise or whatever, and then you get out and you keep practicing the faith by also lusting on the results and thinking about it, and then it never happens. And so when you go into your operation, your meditation, your exercise, whatever you're doing, you want to go in with the faith that it's already happened. This is just you basically bringing the synchronicities about. You already know it's going to happen, you just don't know how it's going to happen. It's going to happen when you least expect it. Remember that one, that's very important. So faith can make all the difference. This is why on the opposite end, doubt will absolutely kill it. And you'll see a lot of people out there utilizing faith to their advantage, and they're prestiging through life like nobody's business. This is why people with high faith who pray to whatever God they believe in will come true. If you utilize faith correctly, it will make or break your manifestation. Simple as that. This is why the Bible says if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could move mountains, or you could uproot trees if you've read the Gospel of Thomas, which isn't in the Bible, but it also mentions it there. There's all kinds of texts where they talk about faith and how important faith is. And a lot of the gurus talk about faith. You must have faith. And even if you aren't religious, faith doesn't have to do with religion. You can just have faith in yourself. You can have faith that this will work because maybe you're just more analytical minded and all of this makes sense to you. And all of this is supposed to kind of turn on that analytical side of the mind. And by the end of this video, we're going to go over some things that aren't really going to make sense to that side of the mind. It's going to more attribute to the subconscious, the irrational, the intuitive side of the mind. And so we're going to have to bring both together, and this is how you do it. And this is why I waited till this video to bring it up. Also, while you're in your meditation, you visualize it as it's happening, while you're focusing on the flame, or even if you're just focusing on a point at the wall. Maybe you're in the doctor's office before you're about to go into surgery, and you want it to go along really well. And so you're sitting there, clear out the mind, and do your relaxation exercises as I've given before in the fourfold breath. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And you just repeat that because you want it on that constant rhythm. And so you would just focus as if you would, I would be sitting in the office, visualizing as if I'm sitting in the office after the operation, as if I'm just waiting there to sign some papers. And I feel the same way I feel going in. I also know I don't have that nervous feeling. Get rid of that, because we're going to go over why whatever emotion you put into this is the emotion that it's going to come back. So I would get rid of any negative feelings, any nervousness. I would just feel love, honestly. Not romantic or lustful type of love, but just feel love. Feel anything positive that you can, and visualize it as it's happening. And there's a way better chance of you going into that operation and coming out and it going exactly as planned, nothing bad happening, this, that, and the other. Now, that's just a basic example of like on the spot type of manifestation. I'm going to go over that a little bit later. For what we're going over in these 3 videos are for things that are on a bigger scale of goals. Now, these can be used for very small goals, and they do work. But for manifesting, you're going to wonder, oh, when's it going to come around? As I said, very importantly, it's going to happen when you least expect it. So that's why it's going to kind of be hard in the doctor's office to least expect it when it's, you've got maybe a course from an hour to a few hours, And so it's going to come when you least expect it. This could take a week. This could take half a week. This could take 6 months. It happens as quickly as you forget about it, because it'll happen when you least expect it. It's going to come around and hit you. And so for things that you're trying to attract or repel or whatever you're trying to do, you want to jot these down on a sticky note somewhere and just keep them in a dresser drawer somewhere. You don't want to be reminded of it, but you do want to come across it, a few good months down the road, so that you can look at it, you can be like, oh yeah, and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, I ended up getting that job, and ended up getting that salary, and I ended up meeting that person, and I ended up getting healed of this. Whatever you're doing, it'll click. So make sure you do write it down. But remember, you must forget it. And they don't teach you this in the law of attraction. That's why I get kind of salty about it. But it's just that there's just so much information on it, and they leave out so much things that only a few people are actually going over on the internet right now. Like I said before, what if you're not good at attracting wealth? Well, you could banish poverty. Well, how do you do that in the law of attraction? Maybe you're trying to attract good luck, but as in the law of polarity, with the good comes the bad, and with the bad comes the good. It depends on how you're willing to look at it. You don't want to attract bad luck while you're attracting good luck. How do you keep the bad luck at bay? They don't tell you this shit. I mean, excuse my language, but it's time to teach some real practical things, in my opinion. And there are plenty of people doing this, and I've mentioned other phenomenal channels. But anyways, like 2 videos ago, when I was helping out Vanessa with her emotional blockage, I gave a basic banishing in that video. Just like we accept or reject the thoughts, use the words reject or banish. Don't use the words I don't accept and I accept, because if you know anything about the subconscious mind, you know that it doesn't pick up on negative words like that, like don't, can't, won't. So if you say, I won't go to jail over and over, that's basically like affirming, I will go to jail. I will go to jail. And so, no wonder there's so many people out there saying affirmations and wondering why they're not just getting the results they want, they're getting the complete opposite. They're having it backfire on them, and it's ridiculous. So the law of attraction basically only goes over like a couple of the Hermetic principles that basically explain the entire scheme for this sort of thing. And that is what I've been trying to do through this channel. Now, the Wealth and Prosperity series was designed not to teach you the law of gender, but to get across an idea in a way that gets you from being... Wait, did I say gender? I meant to say the law of... Crap. Okay, so basically, the Wealth and Prosperity series, I was trying to get you to become the cause rather than the effect in the principle of cause and effect. Now, this is a Hermetic principle, and you can look these up online and learn about them all right now after this video. I'm not going to explain it because it's very long to explain right now, but I have made this entire channel in a way of explaining them to you, so when you do read about them, or when I do make the video explaining each one, you'll be like, oh, and you'll correspond it to things that you've thought of before, or things that I've said, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. And so we've already gone extensively over the principle of mentalism, which everything begins in the mind. It's all begins in the mind. And so you understand this extensively, as well as we've gone over the principle of gender, masculine and feminine to bring new life. It's like the outlet. You can't get the electricity flowing for these lights until I take the plug, the masculine force, into the outlet, the feminine force, and their electricity. But my lights also might not come on because the switch is off. So what would be the switch? Remember when I mentioned the filter and how it can kind of get in the way of the will coming over to the subconscious mind, planting the seed to manifest? That filter can be the switch that doesn't let the electricity go to the light to have it shine at me. And so I've mentioned before that the subconscious mind speaks in symbols. Symbolism. It loves symbolism. And so to get something over there, the best way is to use symbolism. This is why when I gave the basic banishing, I had her take whatever it was holding her back. I gave an extensive list of other things to do as well, but if you take something and you can form it into a symbol or a picture, or you can imagine it as a certain scene, if you can symbolize it and then meditate on it and just have it go up in smoke, that is a symbolic banishing, and that can do a lot to the subconscious mind, to have it manifest, to have it attract, to have it banish, whatever you're trying to do. And another principle I say we've gone over a little bit, I've mentioned a few times in the Wealth and Prosperity series, is the law of vibration. This is what you learn in the basic laws of attraction videos, change your vibration, change your state, change your mental state, go to that frequency to attract that type of thing. Everything in the universe vibrates. Science has proven this principle alone. So you already know that one. The law of polarity, I've given a little bit of examples. I even gave an example earlier in this video. The law of synchronicity, or principle of synchronicity, whatever you want to call it. We've gone over that as well. And then the other one I would say is correspondence, which we're going in this video right now. Now I know I left one off. Yeah, the principle of rhythm. Now, the principle of rhythm, you don't need to know right now, but it does help. We'll go over that whenever we go over the planets and other stuff like that. You can look it up right now if you want. But for this video, we're going to go over correspondence and how it's going to help boost this entire manifestation process. Now, I've mentioned before that all through middle school and high school, I took theater. So I'm going to give you an example of this whole formula and equation that we've been going over in the past 3 videos in a different way, in a symbolic way. I'm basically giving you an example right now of correspondence, kind of. If you know anything about as above, so below, as within, so without. As it happens out there, it happens in here. As it happens in here, it happens out there. If you want to see what's in a little girl's mind, go look at her bedroom. It's usually always messy and covered with posters and pink and this and that. At least it was back when I was little. So, we're going to talk about theater. We're going to talk about a play, right? So you've got your actors and you have your audience. Now, it's the actor's job to put on a good enough play to keep the audience coming back to watch their shows. Simple as that. That's just one of the basics. And so the actors, in this sense, correspond to the will. And the audience would correspond to the subconscious. You want I'd say the actors would be the conscious, audience subconscious, but also the will corresponds to the conscious mind, and imagination corresponds to the subconscious mind. So we've already gone a little bit over correspondence if you haven't kind of caught on with it already. But the audience needs to make an impression. The actors need to make an impression upon the audience. Just like the will needs to make an impression on the subconscious to get results. Because you don't want just results once or twice, you want them coming back, just like the actors want the audience coming back. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to stay in business. And so, as I said in the beginning of this video, to not have doubt. Have you ever seen a play or watched a movie just with the worst actor possible? They didn't have faith in the character. They didn't embody that character, become that character. They were very doubtful or maybe shy. They were terrible at it. This is why you can't have doubt and you need to have faith. And it's also why I said in the will video to take embodiment, to become that which you seek. The greatest actor is the one that becomes the villain or becomes the superhero. They have the whole, I forget the word for it, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, one of the best ways in theater to get in character was visualization. Visualize you as being the actual character, living out that character's life, thinking like the character, acting like the character, even down to walking and talking like the character. And you might have to do some goofy stuff to attract what you're looking for, but also in a lot of plays, they kind of get goofy sometimes, off the wall, and a lot of different things happen. Now, there's something in plays that makes a really big impression on an audience usually, if not overused. And that is what's known as breaking the fourth wall. Now, the fourth wall, I would say, would correspond with the filter. And I know that there's other people that would say otherwise, but I'm holding to this, so sorry. But if you don't know what breaking the fourth wall is, it's when you've got a set, essentially. Now, there might be 2 walls, might not even be any walls. There might just be a picture hanging in the back. But either way, there's essentially a square. There's 1, 2, and 3 walls. Now, the edge of the stage is the fourth wall. It's the whole idea behind, you don't see the fourth wall in any TV show. It's because the set is back there. Now, to play, the audience is there. And you end up making the biggest impression when you break the fourth wall, when you have characters even come down the stage and out into the audience. It's like if I were to reach through this camera and grab whatever you're eating, drinking, or have got in your hands, you'd probably flip the fuck out. It works the same way. And so to make the impression, you've got to get across the filter. And we do that through trance. You fall into trance. Do the relaxation exercise. Learn to meditate. Find a way for you to fall into trance very easily because everybody's different. So go and research. Go and find all kinds of videos on self-hypnosis, trance, or meditation, whatever you're wanting to do. But the most important part is you break the filter. Well, not break, but you fly under the radar. Now, we use symbolism for this because remember, the subconscious mind speaks in symbolism. You want it to go right through the conscious mind, not having to take it and be a cock block. So before we go into symbolism and a little bit more on correspondence, I'm going to mention the 4 elements right now. Now, some of you, this might not even be new to, and some of you might have no clue what I'm talking about. Now, the 4 elements of manifestation would be earth, air, water, and fire. You could say these would correspond to the gas, liquid, and solid and fiery elements of life. Now, let's go over what they correspond with. Now, this should help you in kind of understanding how the law of correspondence works. Now, the element of fire corresponds to the will. The element of water corresponds to emotions. The element of air corresponds to thoughts. And the element of earth corresponds to physicality, physical things, down to your manifestation. Now you take all 4 of those, and it almost sounds like the 4 ingredients used for manifestation. Take your thoughts, your will, your emotion, which we've gone over a little bit, but I'm going to explain why emotion is super important in this video as well. And then you've got earth, which is the manifestation itself when it comes. Now, every play has props. Makes a play better. I mean, I've seen a few plays or online plays where it's just people on stage doing sometimes even a monologue. And while those are great, a lot of people tend to like the big sets, all the music, all the things that the subconscious mind digs. It's like in the movie when you go into trance. This is why people freak out about subliminal messages and stuff like that. But it's funny because they point out all these subliminal messages, but if it's subliminal, it's not going to be caught by the conscious mind. You're not going to be able to point it out. So I'm sorry, guys, that the conspiracy about the subliminal message is sort of real, but it gets expanded a little too much. But every play has its props. And so what prop are we going to use? Now, the prop that we're going to be using is a candle. Now, you don't have to get this size or this color. This is the only one that I had on hand. I didn't have white. I was going to use white for this video. And I also very much recommend to start with a white candle for now. And we're going to explain that a little bit later. But go up to any store that sells candles. If there's a specific candle shop in your town, go there. You don't want one that's glass enclosed. You want one that's bare. You can touch all sides of it. Don't leave any labels on there or nothing. But start with a white candle, not the blue one. And we'll explain why later on in this channel. I'm also going to have a program where I'm going to go over this sort of thing way more extensively. I'm going to go over color correspondences and other things like that. So be looking forward to that. But let's take the candle for example. While it's lit, I want you to think about where the 4 elements correspond to the candle. Just think about it for a second. Now, obviously, the flame would correspond with fire. The earth element would correspond to the physicality of the candle itself, the wax. Now, think about it. What would the element of water be? It would be the wax dripping down, the liquid wax, and the element of air would obviously be the smoke or the vapor rising off the candle. Now, I want you to all meditate on the 4 elements, not just in Om meditation, but as well as out and about when you're practicing silence. And we're going to go over why silence is important. But while you're out and about, clearing your mind, or just meditating on the spot, meditate on the 4 elements and kind of see like what things come to mind. You're like, I can see this and that. See how they correspond to not only words, colors, signs, logos, things that people are talking about, the body language of people, the way you can find correspondences in your daily life if you've got the eyes to see them. Now, I'll kickstart your little correspondence memory by telling you that red corresponds to fire, blue corresponds to water, yellow corresponds to air, and green corresponds to earth. So while you're out and about, keep these things in mind, meditate on them, put some things together. You might get a few aha moments, and you might have already gotten a few just thinking about some things while watching this video. But the candle itself is symbolic for the 4 elements in itself. It's perfect symbolism, perfect prop for impressing the subconscious mind. It's why I mentioned earlier in this video, focus your will on a candle flame. Now, every play has its props. It also has a script or stage directions, usually all in the same book, but I've had some teachers who have them in separate books for some reason. But here's your basic script. All right, so you want to find a place alone. You want to be secluded off in another room. You don't want to be having somebody in and out, noises, other things like that. You want to have concentration. Now, light the candle and start your 4-fold breath. After you get the rhythmic breathing down and you're starting to relax, focus on the flame. Meditate on it for a few minutes. Just clear your mind. Let yourself fall into more deep relaxation. Now, while you're focusing on the flame, focus on what you're willing. Start visualizing you as that person, or having that money, having that job, or being with that certain someone. Start feeling as if you are that person, having that money, or having the job, being with that someone, and crank it up. Use all the energy you can put into this. And once you feel like you've gotten the hang of it for at least 5 minutes, hold on to that for about 20. Hold on to it for about 20 minutes. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know what 20 minutes is? If I go into meditation for like 5 minutes, I feel like it's been an hour. I start to lose my mind. Go buy incense. Now, I call this the incense timer. I've noticed once you buy a certain brand or you start getting certain incenses, you'll notice how fast they burn or how slow they burn. You'll get onto the rhythm and cycle of it. And so with mine, they usually took about 40 minutes to burn. So if I was in a meditation they take about 45. And so if I was in meditation and it was almost done, I would know it's been, about 35, 40 minutes now. You're good to be done. And so practice meditating, see how long your incense burns, and start practicing this. Start visualizing and feeling it. Now, you want to go in with the emotion as if you've already had it. That's the force that you're going to put into it that you're going to also get back. That's why I was mentioning earlier about if you're visualizing, you coming out of the doctor's office just fine, get rid of that nervous negative feeling, because that emotion is going to be the force you put in and the force you get back. I've known some people to mention if you start getting really angry and you feel the emotion well up in you, that's the force right there. But that's the force you're going to use. And so if you get angry, they've mentioned to just be like, I've got so much damn money, or, I cannot believe I got that job. And so you're putting the visualization, you're putting the words out as well as the emotion, and bam, you're manifesting things. This is why a lot of people are screwing themselves every day, because they're mixing emotions with thoughts and just having things backfire at them. Now, if you use anger as that force, it's going to come back to you in that way. So if you use anger to bring you money, it's going to come in a way that makes you angry. This is why I would never, ever, ever use sadness as a force or an emotion to push it out. Because I don't want whatever's coming to me to make me feel sad, because that might mean that somebody has to die or something bad happen. Anything that would make you sad. And so it's very important that you have the emotion. So while you're focusing on the candle, while you've got the emotion up in you, while you're visualizing it, you should know if it's working, because everything around the candle will kind of get a little hazy. You will fall into a trance. This is the point. This is the whole point. You want to get past the filter. That's the symbolism. So you're mixing the emotion with the thought, with the visualization, and you're putting it into the candle. You want to, if you to spark it up even more, almost visualize energy symbolically representing that which you're wanting coming out of you and into the candle as it's burning. Now, the reason I showed one of these is because these burn pretty quick. You can get bigger ones, but they take a very long time to burn. You want this to burn all the way down. You don't want to come back and light it again and do it for something else. Use 1 candle per operation. And so you're going to want to let it burn all the way down. Now you can hold a visualization while this thing goes down. If you got the time for that, oh, perfect. But a lot of people don't like doing that. So you're going to want to leave your space, close the door behind you. You don't want any of your energy getting loose. This is why you don't do it in the living room or around where people are constantly walking around, because people are energy. People carry energy. And so it's very important that you do it this way. And this is how you really bring the manifestations along. And I already know a lot of you are like, wow, I've never heard any of this shit. But there's tons of this shit on there, on the internet, but it's a very small portion compared to all the law of attraction, visualization BS that you find a lot nowadays. Now, there are a few good law of attraction channels. I'm not going to lie. I'm not dissing on all of them. But there's a lot of people over there that are just too repetitive about visualization. They don't teach you about the will. They don't teach you about forgetting. They don't teach you about correspondences. Correspondence, I feel like, a lot of people say that polarity is the most important when it comes to reality. I agree with that, but when it comes to manifestation, I think the correspondence is the most important. The more correspondences you can add to your manifestations, the quicker it's going to come. And so we're going to go over color correspondences in the next program that I'm making, I already mentioned. That should be coming around April or so of next year. Before I start giving updates, let me finish this video. It's getting quite long now. Now, after you leave your room, your meditation, your operation, don't think about it. As I said, focus on something else. And this is also why you want to keep silence. You don't want to talk about these things with people. Also, if you talk about it, you're thinking about it. You want to forget about it. So don't even talk about it to anybody. But that's not the reason we keep silence. We don't keep silence to forget about it, although it does help. But you also don't want people's minds, their consciousness, in your operations, exercises, and what you're doing. Because just as your thoughts have power, so do theirs. And if you're dealing with somebody who thinks that meditation is bad, or if you're dealing with somebody who doesn't want you to get that job, and they're thinking against it, well, good luck. So don't talk about these things, because you let the energy bleed out from your will. Save all of that for when you do your meditation. Save all that energy, all that emotion for that. Don't talk to anybody, because if you ever notice when you talk about something you're going to do, you kind of lose you lose the life of it. You're so excited about one thing, and then you talk to a bunch of people, and it just kind of goes downhill. You don't want to do that. And something that kind of has to do with silence, I know a lot of people are going to not agree with me with this, but it's almost like this. I've had a few friends kill themselves, as a lot of people have, and it's a very terrible thing to go through. Now, you know how you'll have the friends who talk about killing themselves or wanting to, and they express that body language, but they're expressing it so much, but they never end up doing it. But then you have that one friend, or there's that one person that you never expected did it, never mentioned anything, never gave anything out, never gave any body language that anybody would even know that they would have done that. And I think that it kind of applies to silence, and how keeping that energy in will push you more through it to have the manifestation come around. If you're talking about it, there's less of a chance of it coming around. And so I feel like that is a contributor to why a lot of people who commit suicide are usually the ones not talking about it. And so utilize this for your manifestations. Don't talk about it, because once you let that bleed out, it's in the minds of other people at that point. And so while the person that talks about killing themselves all the time lets it get in the minds of other people, those other people don't want them to kill themselves. And so it doesn't happen. You've got other minds helping them. Now, you don't want people's minds working against you, so just keep the silence, don't talk about it. Now, if you want to give a jump start to your manifestations, before you do your operation or your meditation, write down 5 things that you can do within the next few weeks to bring you closer to that, but also in a way that it doesn't keep you remembering them. So this is going to be kind of tricky. You're going to have to figure this out yourself and apply it to whatever you're doing. Because if you're looking for a job, obviously one of the first things you're going to want to do is apply for a job. If you don't apply anywhere or go and seek, it's not going to happen. Now, there's the slim chance that someone might come knocking on your door, and I've had some things like that happen before, but it does not always happen. if you're wanting to attract a new love, you're going to want to go out and socialize. Now, don't go out and socialize in the mindset of, I've got to find that woman or I've got to find that man, because then you're lusting for results. Go out and just let life happen. Just let it come to you. Forget about it. And so write a good 3 to 5 things down before you do this that you need to do within a few weeks. And do those things. Okay, so I ran out of space on my camera. I had to delete some files. But as I was saying before, write a list of things that you need to do that'll bring you to there. Some things you might think, oh, I don't need to do anything. And you might not. Go with that intuitional feeling. Go with the gut feeling, because as you go with it, you'll figure out what's right, what's wrong, and you'll start to become in a flow and a natural cycle with it. And it will help you. The best teacher, as I've said, is always going to be yourself. You need to develop that intuitional side about you. Don't just go looking around for answers from everybody else. Find answers within yourself. Don't just listen to me talk. Don't just take everything that I say to be fact and true. Find out for yourself. Try these things. Try things that other people say. Try things that the guy that hates me tells you to do instead of what I'm doing. His might work. But find answers within yourself. That's the best thing that honestly ever saved my life, was finding the answers within myself. So do that. Practice these things. Apply these principles. We're going to go over some more Hermetic principles down the road. And we're going to go over each of these more extensively. Hopefully you've understood the law of correspondence by the end of this video. And yeah, it's really all I have to say right now. I know I did mention that I would talk about the programs coming out. Now I've got a few ideas. As I said, 3 main ones I boiled down to. Now one of them I'm taking off the shelves. I think that I'm not going to make this into a program because I realize that I could condense it to a really, really short, probably 20-30 minute video, rather than it being an entire course itself. So I might just post that on YouTube. If I do end up deciding to sell it, don't worry, it'll be pretty cheap, like maybe $5-10 at tops. But it is something that's going to be not too essential, not so essential that I need to put it on the channel. But these are stem-offs that will take things to a whole new level. I'll delve deeper in the topic. Now, the first program that's coming out, we're going to delve way deeper into this whole candle stuff and what it's all about, what the symbols mean and all this, and what all the symbolism means, all that stuff. We're going to go over ways you can attract certain things, keep certain things out of your life. It's going to be really great, and I honestly don't know how long it's going to be. I would like to make it 2 hours. I feel like I could extensively talk, especially since this video is at 40 minutes. I might actually make 3 hours worth, but also I know that your time is valuable, but I also want to give you as much value for your dollar as possible. I do not like ripoffs, as I have bought many things from plenty of ripoffs, and so I want to make this really good. And I also want to ask you what format you would like it mostly in. Do you like the way I talk off the spot in these videos? Or do you like the way that I talked in the Faded Motivation video? I'll leave a link in the description, where I basically made a PowerPoint and there was notes and I was speaking off in the background. Now, I wasn't reading off a script. I was speaking off the top of my head, but I also had a basic outline. So I want to ask, would you like these in MP3 so you could just listen to them while you're out and about? Well, obviously, I could put it into MP3, but if you didn't want that, I might do a whole thing with a whiteboard, because I'm probably going to have to bring a lot of writing and a lot of examples into this, so I might actually just need to make it a video. I might switch it back and forth between a PowerPoint, I don't know, because I could also include whatever I'd write on the board in that. So let me know in the description below what kind of format you'd like it. Would you like it just like this? Would you like a PowerPoint? Give me some ideas. Let me know what you want. But anyways, other than that, there's something I've been trying to mention since I made like my 4th video. My 4th video, not like way back when I was doing Wealth and Prosperity. But I put a lot of work into my descriptions. I'm not asking you all to read them. I'm just saying, if you don't get anything in these videos and something kind of just doesn't make sense, go read down there below, because after I make the video, I've thought about a few things that I may have left out, and I'll put them down in the description. And I try to write as much as I can. Most of the time, YouTube limits me, and I've got to delete a few paragraphs, but I do put a lot of work in my descriptions. I try to as much as I can, so make sure you always read the description if you ever have any more questions, because it might be answered in there. But other than that, if you like this video, if you feel like you learned a lot, if you're excited to do some of this shit, like this video and share it and show some other people who need their life changed or you feel like this could help them. And also, remember to click here, subscribe, and you can get these all the time on your news feed. And then you can click right here, see my last video, and then click right here and see my last video. I will for you all to prosper. Have a great day.